In a world where Tyrish disappears and everyone is lost, dazed, confused, who will save them? Who will save him? For where did he go? The one, the only. Alright, that's enough of that. I'm back. And on that, everything I say from this point forward is completely from my perspective and is not to be considered fact, but it's just a theory that I've been working on. And without further ado, I've been working on a theory, guys, and I'm back. I've still been around. Just if you messaged me, I would have messaged back, but anyways, namaste. HoloBrain Theory. I'm gonna get right into it. I've been thinking a lot, and I've been driving a lot, and I've been thinking a lot while driving a lot. And I was listening to a song called Handlebars by Flowbots, and let's just say it inspired something inside of me. Well, something I've thought about but never really taken into much consideration is basically in the song it goes about how, we're human beings, so technically we should be able to do everything, is the premise of the song, because everybody that's done anything has been a human being, whether you've built a bike, you've controlled an army, you've destroyed a civilization. Yeah, all human beings did those things. So, nothing really other than your mindset makes you different from those people. And I was actually wondering, what is holding back most people? And why is it that, there's some of us out there that can see from multiple perspectives, that can walk into most situations and just understand and know what to do without even being told. And wait, where'd my brain go? Brain's gone now. This should look familiar. My brain's back. All right. What does this look like to you? You've got like a central nervous system that controls all of these things from doing stuff. And then as well as inside of there, things are happening to cause us to do those things. Like I think raise my arm. Gotta be careful how I do that. And then I go close your fist. And then I go put out a finger. And this one, I actually just ad-libbed that kind of worked. Anyways, so that's how most brains work, right? So when they walk into a new situation, like let's say learning a new skill like golf or something, most people will just see golf as just one task, right? Like they just see like, boom, I'm learning golf. What the fuck? Like there's so much to learn, like the swing, stance, like they're not even thinking of that. They're just thinking like, holy fuck, there's like trying to grab the club and just like make do with all this information around them. And then there's people that, have the ability to walk in and be like, oh, I can do that. I just watched that guy do it. Give me the club. Boom, knock it right out of the park. And then everyone's just like, you've done this before. There's no way that you haven't done this before. And then they think you're a liar when you say that you haven't. Not that I would know from experience. I do, but not that I do, but I do. So what's the difference, right? So like even when you think about like tasks, like learning a new task, what they're doing is essentially creating an entire new pocket, a new server inside of their brain. See where I'm going with this? What does this look like? Right? Like you've got your main central server and then they create a new server. This one's called golf. Or this could be a controversial matter, right? I don't want to get into too many controversial matters, but let's just say this is from one generic person's point of view, explaining you about a problem, and then this is from another generic person's point of view, explaining to you a problem. And you've separated them in your mind because it's from two different locations and two different sources, and it's two probably completely different versions of information, right? And then you basically just go, try to see it from both sides, but you can't because you're just looking at them both from the same side. And anyways, so you walk into play golf, hockey, learn a new job like keyboards, insurance, data entry, you name it. Workouts, how to walk, how to do just anything, right? Everything is a brand new server and a brand new chain of tasks off of that server. And never do the information ever meet, which, like, honestly, I'm kind of jealous of the people, the majority of the people think like this. It's pretty obvious when I kind of like talk with them and I'm weird. I ask people what they're thinking and how they get to the conclusion of what they're at, and they find that to be, they're like, oh wow, someone actually cares what I think. And I'm just like, more or less, we're thinking like, how the fuck did you come up with that? Don't tell my friends. Anyways, so the reason I'm jealous of this is because of what I'm going to show you next. I feel like a lot of people who are into holochain might not even realize why they love it so much. And I think with this kind of theory that I thought of, it's a lot of thinking, I've kind of figured it out. It's relatable into the way that most, probably us, because we're a very small population of people even understand holo, know what holo is and what they're going to be, like holochain, I should say. And without further ado, let's flip the board around. Need some like epic guitar music or something to like. This could beatbox, couldn't I? Shit. I'll do it another time. Anyways, welcome to the HoloBrain. All right. So as you can see, it looks a buttload different, and it is. And essentially, this will explain both why people are naturally skilled at things and why people are complete disorganized fucktards. Can I say that on YouTube? I'm not supposed to. It's fine. I'm talking to myself anyways, alright? I'm allowed to hate myself more than anyone else. You learn basically a skill, right? Like, let's say, you know what? I wanted to try to stay away from specifics, but I'm going to get specific with you guys, just from a personal experience that kind of like really made this like a revelation in my mind. Is I played high-level hockey, I won't brag, AAA, and I was a goalie, and I was pretty good. I got a lot of shutouts, so like I didn't want to continue playing hockey due to family matters and whatnot, and just political things. I wish I did now when I look back, but anyways, I started recently, well not recently, like a few years ago, I started playing a game called Rocket League. And basically this is a 3v3 or 2v2 game of soccer with cars. Sounds stupid. But anyways, once I was able to learn the controls of the game, I was able to hop right into competitive and start at a very high skill level. Most people would start at the bottom and start working their way up, but I was able to jump pretty much almost right to the top almost. I'm like 4 ranks from top right now, and when I started I was probably like 5 or 6. I don't really practice too much, but it's still kind of getting carried away here. Anyways, the reason I was able to do that was because I took everything I know of being a goalie and I started out playing defensively. I already knew how to cut angles. I already knew how to basically like poke check. I already knew how to like basically if someone's shooting at me, I know how to cut the angles. I know where the net's behind me because I've got like this radar vision in the back of my head from training for years and years and years and years and years as a goalie. So coming in as a defensive player, I was almost like you couldn't score on me in the game, which then allowed me to then start adding new skills, which were offensive skills, and I started to learn what to look for in passing plays. I started to look for in like basically trying to like come up with, okay, my teammate's over here, he's heading in this direction. These guys are over here, how can I bank this ball to give him a better scoring chance because I don't have one, right? I started thinking like that. And I started coming up with like these huge advanced like plays, and I was like way ahead of their goalie. I knew what their goalie was thinking and looking for, so I was able to kind of break him. So there was another way of applying that same skill that I already had, but reverse it to the other perspective and be like, okay, what would I be looking for in myself? How do I break that? Which then turned into me going back to play some hockey with some, there was some ex-professionals and shit like that. so something that's lucky to be Canadian is there's so many of those guys around here. And anyways, I was able to essentially just watch the players, and now I knew what the players were thinking. I wasn't just creating my zone, I was creating their zone, right? I was able to see their passes before they even knew they were going to be making the passes. I started giving them like aliases in game. Okay, that's red pants, and then that's like fucking red helmet. I know red helmet loves to shoot from the blue line, right? And I know that he loves to pass, so I know as soon as he breaks in here and fakes the shot, he's already going there. So basically, I can just essentially, I'm already moving there in my head because I now understand what the forward offensive team's thinking. And these are two things that are completely separate: hockey and Rocket League. Like soccer power, rocket powered like RC cars that play soccer, and then real life hockey. Two completely separate different skills that I intertwine and now have become amazing at both, right? And this is the same skill that I apply to most things, is the going into something like, let's say, go to play golf. Okay, I play baseball at a high level too. When I go into golf, I'm like, okay, let's look at his stance. I know that when I swing my bat, my stance is like pretty much the most important thing. Okay, looking at his knees, looking at his feet, watching where they're going, watch his head tracking. Oh, he doesn't look up. Okay, so he's keeping his eye on the ball, which is smart. When you play baseball, you always keep your eye on the ball as it comes in, right? As best as you can, because those things go fast. But the same thing, right? And then it's like, you know where the power comes from. So you can basically remove learning all of that, take that information, bring it over, and essentially you just have to learn the physics of the golf ball off the club and the different clubs and what they do, right? And now you've just basically, you've essentially just walked into a new skill, but like at a very high level right off the bat. And this works everywhere. If you're a gamer and you're walking into a job where you have to be on a computer and typing, you're used to apps, you're used to navigating different UIs, you're used to learning, and you're used to learning basically like new tech. You're good at troubleshooting because of all the fucking single player games you play, and as well as your typing skills are phenomenal because of all the girls you creep on. I mean, write lovely letters too. But yeah, if you see where I'm going with this, is like, it's essentially now when you've got hockey and Rocket League, you start creating skills that are intertwinable, and then they create this new kind of breed of information, right? And like I was going into before, is the way that this gets kind of confusing is sometimes you misplace information, and sometimes you forget why you know things. And that's probably one of the biggest issues for me, is like, I will just know something and people will be like, well, how do you know that? I don't know. And then I Google, or I'll like say a big word and I'll be like, is that the right word? I go to Google, like oh shit. Like, yeah, this is the right word. But anyways, and you can seem very disorganized to people because realistically you're in a constant state of making connections in your brain, as well as when we go back to the better benefits of it, right? You're supposed to say positive, negative, and a positive thing is, let's go back to the controversial subject, which is generic, is basically with this kind of thinking. Let's say you have the first person tell you, the second person tell you. Now you're able to critically think and now interconnect and use your ability to think outside the box to rationalize, okay, obviously, like when we look at the other side of the board, probably those people teaching you these things are the same. They're linear. They don't ever look at each other's information. So now you take both their information and you weave it together and you find out, okay, well, let's find out if what this guy said's true. Let's find out if what this guy said's true. And then you kind of like just bring it all together and you find one total probably more true than either of theirs, right? And essentially that's it. Like, I've seen the picture of like the guy looking at the 6, the guy looking at the 9, but it's both the same number, and they're like, oh, it's all depends on how you look at it. But no, technically that number was drawn by somebody to be a number, right? Like, there's obviously something, somewhere, someone that knows the answer of whether or not that's a 6 or a 9, no matter what side of the number that you're looking at it. And that's the kind of like critical thinking that people, I feel, need to start understanding and getting into is the fact that, you know, there. I understand that everybody has a right to their own opinion, and good for it. But unfortunately, like, one of the things is facts don't really care about opinions. And have an opinion all you want, but if you're just going to ignore a fact and go on with the other way, you can't get offended when someone is able to relay the facts to you, right? Like, essentially, if someone walked up and been like, "Hey, you idiots, that's actually a comma," or something like that, or fucking, like, just something silly like that, like, "I drew this yesterday, this is a comma," like, "Fuck you, no, it's a 6, no, fuck you, it's a 9. And it's like, why are you guys fighting? I drew this, I just told you it's a fucking comma, right? Like, that kind of information, right? It's where it's like, they're both don't want to be wrong, and I feel like that's a not big obstacle. I don't think I'm getting completely off charts here, but something that we really need to address is the fact that, you know, people need to lose their pride and accept the fact that they sure enough can be wrong. Like, imagine if that argument just ended at like, "Oh shit, you drew this, that's a comma? Oh, my bad, sorry, I thought it was a 6. Oh, hey, my bad, sorry, I thought it was a 9. Well, fuck us, it's a comma. Oh, wasted all that time and energy." And then basically I'll go out, drink beer, or do whatever the fuck they want to do, and that's the end of it. But instead we live in a world where they just fight anyways, even though the facts are right there. End rant. Anyways, guys, I hope this kind of helps make sense. And I really like, one thing I want to ask. Let me know which one of these brain mentalities you think like, and then if you think like one, go a day or two with trying to think like the other one. I've tried thinking the other way, but it's so fucking hard. Like, I have a really hard time isolating my thoughts because I instantly, as soon as I start thinking about one task, I am already trying to connect everything I can to that task to make it as easy as fucking possible. So without further ado, I bid you adieu. Can you rhyme do with do? It's just spelled differently, isn't it? Something like that.